every time I think about the amount of people who will lose.
I thought you said you weren't gonna cry, babe.
I'm sorry. Hi guys, so this video we are actually going to talk about why youth leave the church. I'm driving. Well, I'm not driving now. I'm actually parked. That's why I don't have my seatbelt on. But Xaundre is falling asleep. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Plus, we reach a put in place. Yeah, they had put in place. So we're going to be talking about these things.
What we're talking about?
We'll talk about the why young people leave the church. Remember that you have your list. So Xaundre has a list. I have a list. We don't know what's on each other's list.
Yeah.
So as we stop at these places, popular places, as we move from St.Ann to St. James, because we don't really want to be proper, to St. James, we're going to be stopping along the way. And of course, we're bringing you on the journey. So if you're interested in finding out the reasons why young people leave the church, and if you want to wake up Xaundre, then come along with us. Pudding.
And the sun wake me up.
But the pudding is a little bit too hot to eat. For those who know prior pudding, you know, it's nice and warm. So Zan, what's your reason number one? You know you have a list?
Oh wait, I did have a list. Hold on. Before, right? So before we got to my first reason,
yeah,
I found a really cool statistic that I think you guys, well, I say it's cool because, you know, somebody kind of put numbers to it, to something that we've seen.
Okay.
But it's also quite alarming. Basically, they did some research and then they wrote this book named We Can Keep Them in the Church. Two people named Myrna Tetz and Gary Hopkins.
Wow.
And listen what them say. They say the average age in the local church in 1965 was 35, and in 1995 an alarming 65.
Wow.
And if that was from 1995 when you and me never born yet.
Exactly.
Imagine today, guys, what the average age is in the church. I couldn't find any more recent statistics.
So basically we have an aging church.
An aging church.
Yeah.
Largely because I didn't bother to look, but like anecdotally though, just look in the churches around you and you'll realize that we have largely an aging church.
Yeah.
And with an aging population in any place, whether that's a country, that's a church, that's a community, it's a dying place.
Dying place.
And that's sad.
That's sad.
That's sad. And as youth are leaving the church, a lot of people are content with the fact that they are stalwarts in the faith. They've been around for the last 20 years. Well, if while you've been there, you've seen the youth leave, you'll have to account for why that is so. Now, I'm not saying that it's your responsibility necessarily to keep the youth, but I'm saying that perhaps something that you have been doing or have not been doing could have contributed to why youth are leaving. So having said that, set the foundation.
Set the foundation. I love that. I love that.
That we have too many people leaving the church and we have an aging population in the church. We need to figure out what's going wrong so we can figure out how to fix it.
And that's what I love about our video, because yes, we'll be calling on some of the things that are going wrong, but we also give suggestions on how we think, you know, and then you can also give suggestions in the chat.
And I realize people actually read the comments.
People read the comments and they love it and they learn from it. So
and we definitely sit down and read all the comments.
Read all of it.
So don't look at my list.
Sorry.
Don't look at my list. Alright. So my first reason is judgment and hypocrisy.
I have that one too.
And kind of as a subheading under that, because I could only do 7 things, so kind of squeeze it under. Because of the judgment and the hypocrisy, church feels unfriendly.
Okay, so let me tell you what I have. I said attitudes of family within the church don't match who they say God is.
Alright.
And then I have that church is unfriendly to those who are doubtful. Hey!
Alright, there we go. So both of us agree on that.
Yeah, we agree on that as an issue. So let me tick it off.
Yeah, it's a real issue though, guys. Because so many of us are two-faced. Like, we come to church and we preach one thing, we go home and we practice something else. We don't have I don't know if I can use that word on Jesus' internet, so I won't say that. But we don't have the guts.
I know a word you're not gonna use.
but we don't have it to come and fess up to our shortfalls and our vulnerabilities. And because we think that we're all this and a bag of chips, or maybe 2 bags of chips because you're a bag of chips.
Yeah.
But you feel like you're all this and a bag of chips and you are above falling,
yes.
then you set this unreachable target. You chastise everybody who does not reach it, and then people feel unwelcomed.
Yeah.
Because if I can be as holy and righteous as you are, then it's not a place that I even need to be. And you don't make it feel like it's somewhere where we're going to learn and grow together.
Like a place for sinners. So all of us are growing together.
So that is where the judgmental part comes in, and then here's where the hypocrisy comes in now. One day, somebody's going to find out that the life you've been coming here and talking about, say we're supposed to live, and chastising everybody else for needing to live it.
Why? That's here hotter than the potato food.
You end up actually not living that life and come telling a bag of lies. I'm sorry, I forgot that we have an international audience.
And telling a lot of lies.
And telling a lot of untruths. And then because you have 2 faces, and you're telling lies, and you're living a completely different life behind the scenes, and some young person finds you out, then what ends up happening is that young person loses all the faith in you as a person,
and the church.
In the church as an institution,
and
unfortunately in God as well.
Unfortunately.
And then they end up leaving.
Yeah.
And then to make it worse, the environment is so hostile that they don't even feel like they can talk to anybody about it because of just the hostility of the environment.
May I distract you?
No, you're not distracting me. Can you please?
Yeah. And then I would also add, because I had...
Can you?
Yeah. So I have, in addition to that, is that because you said everything that I want to say, right? But in addition to that, the church is unfriendly to people who have those doubts, which is kind of what you said. But not even just doubts about other people, but doubts about God, the nature of God. Because the truth is, very confusing sometimes.
Of course.
And sometimes when you're reading the Bible, you get confused, you have questions. Some of these questions, truth is, we might not have answers for them until we go to heaven.
Yep.
You know, if we all get to heaven, I want to go to you. But we're still human and we want to know those answers. But it's like we can't ask nothing as young people. And then the thing is, when we go out in the world and we have questions, people out there talk to us.
Yes.
People out there explain to us.
Yep.
People out there take you one side and they try to explain
Yep.
so they can enlighten you. But no, in church, it's more like just this is it, or don't question God.
Don't question God.
No, don't ask any questions. And the
Yeah.
truth is, there are questions that you should be able to ask. And sometimes the answer will be, but then you don't know enough. But no, at some time aside, because them don't know the answer.
Exactly. And the pride. No, it's the pride.
It's the pride.
You're so proud and pious that when a young person, or anybody really, questions your faith, and you're so insecure in the little that you know, that you end up not even wanting to answer it.
It's hotter than the pudding, man, tell the guys.
Yeah, so instead of actually, fessing up and say, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question, or let me go and do some research. Let me go do some research. Just say, no, don't ask those questions. Don't ask no questions. I remember one time my daddy asked one question in the Bible class, in a Sabbath school. And I don't remember, it was some contentious topic. Daddy asked the question, and somebody in the Sabbath school challenged him, not on what his opinion of the answer was, but that he should not have asked the question. But so just the hostility towards the fact that he was questioning it was an issue. And I don't believe that is in keeping with the character of God. I think God wants you to ask questions, because these questions are either answered explicitly somewhere and you just need to search for the answer. They're answered implicitly somewhere else, but you also just need to do the digging. Or maybe we just can't answer it and we need to come to terms with that.
Maybe they're just mysteries. Because the truth is, if we could answer everything, we don't need God.
God would cease to be God if you can explain everything there is about Him.
Exactly. Alright, babe. So what's the solution?
Alright. Be more willing to be vulnerable with people, one. Be more open about the forgiving nature of God's character.
I heard that too.
And I'm just, these are just what are coming to mind. I never actually wrote down recommendations, because we think about these things so often and talk about them so much.
Like we have these conversations all the time. All the time, because that area that we're really passionate about.
Trust me. Yeah, so in terms of making the church more friendly, see people not as perfect individuals who are coming in now to join the fold of perfect
Perfection.
people on the choir,
Yeah.
but see people as broken souls coming to learn and grow together. You
Yeah.
know, and then and stop having unreasonable expectations of people,
Yeah.
but instead be willing to teach and to learn and grow together by first of all exposing some of your own vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And when you don't know the answer, suck it up. Admit say you don't know the answer.
It's okay. Put your pride aside.
Put your pride aside. Exactly.
And in addition to that, I have something for the young people too, because one thing I had in the video, and I said some things I wish I learned earlier as a Christian, and it's that you see these leaders and these older people as imperfect. And I think it's because as younger people we put them so much on a pedestal, then when they disappoint us and church hurt brings us down to the ground. The church is unfriendly, but the dance are unfriendly too. People at your workplace are unfriendly too, but you stay, right? And it's because we know and we accept that the people at church, at work are this type of way, but we put these other people in the church, the elders, the deacons, whether or not they're older than you, because sometimes Xaundre has been an elder since he was what, 16, 17? Yeah, and so you would have been somebody who was a leader in the church too, and you weren't older, but you would have still be kind of seen as like a perfect example type of thing. But nobody is perfect, and when you see these leaders as imperfect, it helps how you process it. Because when them say something to you, you look on them and you say, wow, she has a lot of growing to do. I look on people with pity. I look on people with pity nowadays. Like nobody can offend me to the core, because I was like, wow, I really hope he finds Jesus. Yeah, man, I really hope he finds Jesus one day. Or that's what encouragement I would give to young people. Everybody is growing. Everybody is in a process of healing and learning as well, no matter how old they are and no matter how long they've been in church leadership, because you know, people are imperfect people, and your relationship with God is an individual relationship. It's a church thing. Alright,
I'm sure we'll say more on this as we go along.
But
that's it for now. Alright.
Number
next one. So you go with one.
So my one is overwork in under-resourced churches.
I have it.
You have it?
I have it. But let me tell you what I have it as. I have it as church work too burdensome.
Yes. So I'll start with that one. I find that under-resourced churches, especially smaller churches with a very few young people, or you have that one faithful young person, they're being told to do everything. They have to plan AY, they have to plan all the programs every single week, and because of that, then church becomes work, it becomes hectic. And
meanwhile, if I may add real quickly, a lot of the other people who are complaining about the absence of the young people are sitting down looking,
and they're not helping the one burden person, you know. Because let's say, for instance, the church is under-resourced, means that there are just not a lot of young people in church, and you have 3 faithful ones, right? If the work is being, that would end the solution part, but I'm just saying that we can always, you know, spread the work across, and you don't have to be a young person to be in young person's ministries. You can be supportive of them, and then you can go out in the there's so much that you can do. I don't know I'm reached there, but I'm just saying that one person gets burdened, and with that burden, then they just don't want to be there anymore, and because of that burden in church, they lose their relationship with God, because they don't have the time. And then they just start resenting church because they don't have the time to sit down, they don't have the time to visit other churches. So they never meet any other friends.
Never meet other young people.
So they don't get to develop their social group, and then they have the wrong friends because they don't have the time to go out, and them can't go camp because your church not go camp. So then because the church not have a youth group big enough. Unlike me, Zara used to go. At one point, people used to ask me which church I go, because Zara used to find herself in every church. Me used to just, if my church not going to a camp, or my church not going to a conference, or Zara is attaching herself to the church that is going. But not everybody's like me. You understand? So that was my perspective on.
Alright, here's another thing I want to add to that one now.
Let me tick it off since both of us have it.
So you see, in addition to church work being too burdensome on that one person, the reality of it is that sometimes there's just too much work to do at church. And
period.
And honestly, we don't need all the programs. We really do not need 10 different programs every week. We don't have to always have it because it has always been had. Like, when you realize that church is suffering, and you only have one young guy, and one young girl.
Yeah.
And they're trying. Them are the communications. They're the ones who putting up the camera every week.
Yep.
They're the ones who are trying to plan the AY program.
Yep.
You realize they're stretched thin. Why do you think you need to continue to have AY every week? Why do you need?
I know, because that's so God is unchanging.
God is unchanging. Oh. If you saw the comment, you'll know why we're throwing shade.
We might need to have our program in the evening,
but it doesn't need to look like that.
Yeah,
exactly. And we're not bashing AY.
Yeah, we love AY.
We love AY. But when this young person is stretched so thin, you don't have to ask them to chair the program every divine hour or to always be sitting on the platform. If you can't find anybody to sit on the platform, cut out that part.
I make two people do, make one person do two things.
Or maybe one of the things them never needed.
True. Because why you announce so much stuff and nobody in the church anyway?
Exactly.
Just text them the announcement.
Text them the announcement. Text them the announcement. Alright. Why somebody have to get up to say the church is now called to worship? Then somebody else get up to sing what song?
Opening song.
Somebody else get up to sing opening song. Then somebody. Honestly, all of this fluff not necessary sometimes. You know how I feel about fluff.
Yeah.
It really not necessary sometimes. So I'm not saying that if you have the complement of people to do it, you should not. But when you realize that the church is struggling, you don't need to have everything in the program. You literally can say, okay guys, welcome to church, happy Sabbath, let us sing a song,
let us study a Bible,
and then let's go straight into the study.
That is the solution to the issue. That sometimes when you're under-resourced as a church, you have to look into the needs of the congregation. The needs of the congregation, they don't always fall into a program.
No.
You might have to make up your own program, and I don't think God is mad with that.
I don't think so.
I don't think God is mad
I don't
with
think
that
he's mad with. I think you're being intentional about what you're doing with an outcome-driven attitude. You see the outcome you want. What is the outcome you want? Ask yourself. You want more young people to stay in the church. Ask yourself, why are they leaving? And then what can I do to solve it? So if the answer you get for why they're leaving is because they're overworked, then friend, take off some of the work. Because there's this one young man who, when he came to Adfel, I was quite disappointed in him because he wasn't as active as I expected him to be based on what I heard was happening at his home church. But then after like one day of disappointment and I actually spoke with him, I realized what was happening. He was just so tired.
Like that come to university, you think that they would join the Advent Fellowship group.
No.
You think they would join the Christian group. They're not joining because they're tired. They must say that they must sleep, or they're like, I've done enough church work. So then they don't associate with the group. They don't associate because they're tired, they're drained. So they know what they do. They maybe say, oh, Hall Life, ooh, shiny,
shiny new things,
fresh. And then Hall Life, we were both very involved in Hall Life, but it was a very good balance at Adfel.
And
we
also
never took precedence.
And we also never had any component of Hall Life that was stepping on our spirituality.
Life,
because we were very intentional about the parts that we would actually engage in.
And also help where you can. Because as I say, you don't have to be a youth to be involved in youth ministry.
True.
So if you feel like you're a little bit too old to get involved in youth ministry, maybe you might not be the one who is at the forefront, but you might can play a supportive role. So play a supportive role, because you do need people in the church working, but it takes a team, it takes a full complement. So wherever you see that you can help, please I'm telling you, say something from my heart. We can sit and we can talk about this for hours, because what we were there.
We know what it's like.
And I'm not gonna cry, because every time I think about the amount of people who will lose.
I thought you said you weren't gonna cry, babe.
I'm sorry. But when we think about the amount of people that we lose on, the amount of people who could have been saved because we're not pulling our weight, or because we're being mean, it's sad, and it gets me really sad. It gets me sad.
Don't make me start.
We never script this. This never in the script. This never in the script. But you never know what day is going to be your last day. And I know you take these things for granted when you see the young people in the church and they're doing all they can, and all you can meet them with is criticizing them. All they can, they're trying their best.
The other day,
you should see my DMs. You should see my messages. It's painful.
The other day, I was at the hospital and I saw a lady who I know from back in the day. She was telling me that her son was in the hospital the drop off of a bike and broke up some parts and I needed some help with getting some prostheses. No, that's beside the point. The point is that when I heard about the young man, I recalled that back in the day he was one of the most active and brilliant young men in the church. I remember him vividly. But I had heard maybe about a year or so back, I had heard that this young man was involved in some wrongs. He draw a gun upon some people, a walk with gun and all kinds of things, and it hurt me on two different levels. It hurt me on the level for his parents who tried with him, and then it hurt me on just a human level for this young man who could have had a better life if he had gotten the support from the church family that he needed.
But that was our second point. Guys, I never expect you to get so emotional, but I know how them video you're gonna ever ball in them at some point. So we're going to actually move on now to the other leg of our journey, and then we'll do the other points, yeah?
Alright, cool guys. Hopefully she don't ball again. I think it's because people just saw him as him can do this in church, he can do that in church, let him do this, let him do that, without investing in him as a human being, sitting down and talking with him to find out. And I mean, to a large extent I'm guilty, because
you think he could have done more,
like retrospectively, you know, you would have wanted to do more, but you didn't know you could have or should have done more at the time. I mean, at the time I was what, 15?
Yeah,
you know,
you were young.
But at the same time, you ask yourself the question, you know, what if somebody had just sat him down and asked him questions about what life is like, you know, with a genuine view to help, instead of just fasting and business, you know, with a genuine view to help. I'm sure it's not one day him just get up and take up a gun. We're at our next spot. It's a little spot in Discovery Bay with like a scenic view. It's called, I think it's Turtle Beach, but I just know it as the little beach in Discovery Bay. So when this is turned right side up, which is now upside down, so when it's turned right side up, which means that this part with the pegs, it will be down in the sand on the seafloor. Then they put bait inside of the pot, so them drop bait in there, normally like roast coconut or bread, put it in there. Then the fish them come through this funnel and they come down like this, and them go and them get the whatever they want in there. When them eat the bait and them ready to come back out, the only opening is this. There's one more on that side. However, fish can't swim straight up like this. So yeah, so they can't swim straight up, and they also can't look straight up. Fish can't sit vertical in the water like this, except like trumpet fish, but the average fish can't. So then them come here so and don't know how to come back out. So them end up not being able to come out of the trap.
Wow, and that's what you learned today from...
You learned that on Adventures of XYZ. Alright, so my next one is that Christianity is too shallow and it doesn't seem to be practical.
Oh no, I don't have that one.
Alright. Alright, so basically we have a version of Christianity that tells people about all the theory in the Bible and about what obtained at the time of Christ and about what an idyllic Christian life looks like without practical and applicable steps, and without people sharing practical experiences. So like people come and they'll maybe even share a testimony, but then you know that a testimony is likely curated. Them tell you the parts of the story them want to tell you, that it sound like, you know, it have all the different parts of the story. It have the introduction, it have the climbing up and then the climax and then the resolution or whatever.
Which is normally a good resolution if you make to a testimony.
If you make to a testimony, exactly. But then where are you when you're going through the struggles? You know, where are the sit-down conversations about the things as they're happening? Where are we not talking in highfalutin terms, but we're talking practically? And when are we leveling with our young people and saying, you know, tell me about life. Let me help you through the struggles. You know, when do you actively carry some money and give to a young person who is struggling? Or say, come and work with me and I'll pay you a fair wage.
Come and teach you how to run a business.
Come and teach you how to run a business. Exactly. Thankfully, we've had people who are helpful like that. But yeah, I kind of just find them and attach myself to them. Big up yourself if you're a mentor of mine. Yeah. All right, so that was one of mine. That people think that Christianity is not as practical as it should be, and it somehow is fighting out them actual prosperity in life, and so them just don't bother with it.
And the solution is that?
Solution is that we make it applicable to everyday life. We kind of help to try to show people how to live practical Christianity, in the same way that when Jesus taught, he never taught just highfalutin concepts. He
you can't be teaching about patience and you don't really show what that looks like practically.
Exactly.
Or love.
Exactly. And we can't be teaching every week about the millennium and about prophecy and about even the sanctuary message that has such profound meanings. But if people don't understand first that God loves them, if people don't understand first of all that you as a human being in the church love them, and that you're actively working towards their good, then why should they trust you?
So the other one I have is that the church isn't meeting their needs while people out in the world are meeting their needs.
I didn't have that one.
I never had that one. So this is from the perspective that the truth is, before you can plan a program, you should think about people as people. And I think we brought this out in a sense earlier on, that sometimes you have young people in the church and you want them to go preach a sermon, or you want them to be able to not sleep in church, but the truth is they never got any sleep last night because they don't have a bed, or they never got to sleep last night because their mind is going on 100%, over and over and over, but you've never stopped to say, how are you doing? So you don't really know what's happening with them. And a lot of times churches see people, but they don't really see people.
Yeah.
So you go to church every week, and the truth is you can go to church and you're still a visitor after going 6-7 times, because you are seeing, I look at you, I don't really see you, I don't really know who you are, I don't really know your name, I don't know what's happening with you.
Remember somebody was sharing with us the other day?
Yeah, I said them go to church home years, and the church called her ex-person wife. For years, they don't know her name, they don't know anything about her, they just know her as the person's wife. That makes sense? No, but we do it so much, and then we invite people to come. You cannot invite me to a special day at church, a community guest day, when you have lived beside me for so long and you have never even said, oh, apple fall for my Trina,
you want one? Take care.
Yeah, we saw some people on our way here when we came down here. Fun fact about this place. So one time when I was in Kingston, Xaundre was in Mobay, and he was coming to Kingston because he knows that I like sand between my toes. My youth take up a buckle and put sand in there, carry come a town, can give me, So let me tell you, ladies, if he wanted to, he would, okay? No, but for real, but big up yourself, babe. Behind the camera, I have to stop the vlog to tell that story here because it was so sweet. And these are the little things. Sometimes we think that we need these grand gestures, but it was just some free sun from a free spot on the coast. But yeah, back to the video. So yes, we need to meet the needs of the people, and we have to strike a balance between being fast and being really helpful, because some people just want to know your business.
Yeah, can I say something about that?
Yeah, sure.
Don't ask a question if the answer is not going to help you in some kind of way.
Help the person, or help you to help the person.
Right.
Yeah.
And then your objective should be to help the person. So let's say, for example, somebody says that, boy, them slip up and fornicate, for example. Nobody goes who them fornicate with.
No, you don't care.
That don't change the price of rice.
Yeah.
Plausible deniability, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Just try to help them however best you can.
To move forward.
And always see the ultimate goal, which is restoration of your identity in Christ. That is where we want to get everybody
exactly.
to identify as a follower of Christ, learning and following his ways. Everything else is trivial.
It's trivial. And I've heard and I've been asked over and over, Zara, what do you recommend? What kind of programs do you recommend for my young people? And I say, how many young people your church have? And the person might say, we have 10 very active youths. And I say, if you have a small group of young people, sometimes, as Xaundre would have said, sometimes you don't need to keep AY in the same way you keep AY every week. Sometimes you need to come out to the beach like this and just have a conversation about life. Sometimes you need to say, all right, tomorrow evening we're gonna go out for ice cream, or what the thing name, sorbet if you're vegan, So Sometimes you need to learn
Yeah.
how to meet people at their heart. You can't be shoving doctrine and theology and stuff like that down people's throat that you literally don't know them.